Oh shoot. Okay. Stop. Okay. So our interpersonal assignment was about emotions. Um, okay, so what are emotions? So this is what we got from the textbook. The textbook said that emotions are things that we feel, but there's so much more. It goes into these subclasses. So it's like physical changes about stuff that happens to our body, nonverbal behavior, which is stuff that we express, like facial expressions, cognitive interpretation, so like how we think about emotions, and then verbal expression. So it's physically saying what you're feeling. I agree with the textbook. I feel like they explained the aspects of emotions well. I think that these are things that we use on a daily basis. I tend to be a non-verbal person just because I don't feel very comfortable speaking with others. So what are emotions, compare and contrast? So I have two articles. One is the evolutionary emergence of what emotions are, and then the other one is what are emotions. And the main question for the evolutionary is that do emotions exist? So the article talks about how emotions are created for survival. And the article wants to prove that emotions don't exist. They're just a byproduct for our intention to survive. I always thought that emotions do exist because we feel them every day. But the way that the article talks about emotions, it convinced me that emotions are a byproduct of our survival. I disagree with the idea of that emotions don't exist. But what are emotions really? The main question was what is the relationship between our ideal and reality of emotions? From what I understand, the article is trying to say that our ideal emotions changes the reality of the situation. So I think the article leaves a lot to be desired. It does leave out like physical and cultural aspects. The article seems more like a summary of others' opinions rather than its own opinion. I agree with the article, and I do think that our emotions change how we interpret situations. Comparing both of the articles, I think they both have the similarity of the psychological aspects when it comes to our emotions, but I think the evolutionary article adds more detail and is more convincing than the what are emotions article. The big five emotions, happy and sad. So the big five emotions are happy, sad, anger, disgust, and fear. These are all of the emotions that we feel stem from these major five. So the big two and the socially induced emotions article. So the article is basically an experiment of a group of people to see if they feel happy and sad emotions. So they wanted to prove that a community will both feel happy and sad, and if a sad event happens to an individual, the community will feel it. The experiment showed that happiness is shared, but sadness has little to no feelings that are shared. At first, when I read the article, at first I thought that communities shared feelings, but if something bad happens to the community will feel distress. But after reading this article, it seems like it depends on the situation. So if something small happens, then it depends on the emotion. But if something big happens, then it will impact more people.
All right, so for compare and contrast, is the two sources I've used. The first one is anger and forgiveness. Emotions is something we use to day-to-day base to express how we feel about someone. Do emotions reflect our behavior? This article talks about how emotions can control our body and how to control our emotions. We are able to control what runs in our mind. Any emotions that carry a big toll on controlling your body and controlling your emotions. My thought on this gets me thinking a lot. It explains how really important it is to control emotions, and it does carry a big toll on you and shows how important it is to switch emotions and teaches you how to control your anger. For the other source, fratricide to forgiveness. Emotions is used all around the world. We use it to communicate our loved ones and many more. The article has explained how to forgive when someone sets off a certain emotion and able to deal with that situation. For example, being angry, and many more. My thoughts on this article explains a lot on how to forgive someone when they set off a certain emotion towards somebody or towards you, but doesn't really mean it in that way, but to forgive that person. All right. Sad and angry. There are five main ones, but the main two that really catch my eye are sad and angry. These two stand out the most. When do you see somebody happy? Every day. Happy is like another big one, but it's really rare for somebody to be happy 24/7. Sad and angry are more common in my experience. You could really tell somebody's body language and tone of voice and many more. We all have emotions to control, but these two main factors play a big part of us. And it does play a big factor. It does play a big factor on us, and it hits us on a certain stage of being sad and angry. My thoughts on emotion is like a gift we have to control, but yet to hard to maintain certain moods. It can be really stressful as days goes on and make an impact on you. I see other people different. As us, people should care about more emotions and many more. And the reason is because we are all human. We can relate to the same thing. One of the videos we watched in class related to what I'm describing on this slide, the big five emotions, like happy, sad, and many more. It shows how easy to spot somebody's emotions through somebody by using non-verbal communication or verbal communication. For personal experience, I agree with the author a lot, and he does a really good job explaining emotions and does really take a big impact on you. I lost my dad back in 2014, and that year I felt emotions I never felt before. I felt like my emotions were everywhere and just took control over me. It was a sad and angry and many more other moods, as you can say, running through my body that day. And even to this day, it still haunts me and still messes with my emotions in my head to this day. So I really like how the author describes every little detail and describes every little point about emotions.
Okay, so in conclusion, the articles dealing with the main five are similar in how they talk about how emotions affect others and ourselves, but it's different in how the articles present the information, with one of them being an experiment. Something similar we found between all of the articles is that it states that emotions are complicated and difficult to define because emotions play like a huge part in our lives. We feel that there's not much contradiction between the articles and the textbook. We think that they work really well together. And then these are sources where we got our information. And then I'm gonna stop